that we were going to do, and I thought you asked me to do today and tomorrow possibly as well, because there's a lot of lessons, and it's going back to the fourth canto really.
Yes.
So it's kind of a review going back to the fourth canto, and I'll go through the main lessons, and we can discuss, and it can make it a little bit interactive if you want.
Good.
But I've got a PowerPoint slide on all the instructions that we put together.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And we can discuss. It'd be. I know we've forgotten most of what was happening in fourth canto because we focused on fifth canto and looking at the pastimes of Jad Bharat and King Rahugana and all that, and then but the core of all the principles are the same, so we can start by, at least I'm going to do the Mangalacharan prayers. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Krishna Swami Tinamine. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pashyata Destarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Dvita Gadar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namosa Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya Pachitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Dvita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram. So you can see my screen?
Not yet.
Yet, okay.
Okay, yes, good.
Good. You can now?
Yes.
Yes.
Got your computer screen, yes.
Yeah. And
yeah. Presentation, that's good.
Yeah.
And you can just do show slide.
Yeah.
Yes, good.
So there is Srimad Bhagavatam there in the fourth canto. And if you look back to kind of think back to see what was happening in fourth canto, really, because we've gone through first canto, and it's actually a gradual progression. But this picture might just remind you if anybody can remember what was going on. Why would they have this picture on the front there? Obviously, it's the fourth canto. And this picture, can anybody recall anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Yeah, Haribol.
It's King Vena, who was not a pious person. So the sages, by their prayers, they kill him, and then they churn out of him his son.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be the theme.
No, first of all, they got a personality came out, that is Nishad, that is his bad side, and then when they churn again, then a son came out.
Yeah, and to recall, to be honest, and I'll be honest as well, that sometimes you forget what the pastimes were and what's this picture relate to, and so you're quite right that it is the body of is coming out, isn't it? So yeah, that would be, so try to remember basically. I'll go back to the fourth canto. Obviously there is come out and try and go to Google, and if you try to look back at fourth canto and just a quick overview of the chapters, like for example, this is the creation of the fourth order. Then the chapter 1 was just about the table, the daughters of King Manu. Then Daksha curses Lord Shiva. There's talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. Then Sati quits her body. There's a frustration of the sacrifice of Daksha. Then Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva, and then there's a sacrifice performed by Daksha. Then Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. So up to there was a story about the Daksha and Lord Shiva and all that, the pastime. Then he comes about Dhruva Maharaj. He leaves the home. Then he fights the Yakshas. Then Swayambhu woman who advises Dhruva Maharaj to stop fighting. Then Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. There's description, the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Then that's the story of King Vena that you're saying, isn't it, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, but the picture show that, right?
Yeah. So the story of King Vena. So that's quite going. Although it's a picture on the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it picks up from 14th chapter, kind of, it relates to that part of the Bhagavatam. And then King Prithu's appearance, coronation, then King Prithu by the professional reciters. It's just kind of reminding of ourselves a little bit, because there's a lot to cover in there. And then Maharaj Prithu becomes angry at the earth. And Maharaj Prithu milks the earth planet. There's 100 horse sacrifices. The Lord Vishnu's appearance of the sacrifice arena of Maharaj Prithu. So, be able to go to, then Prathuma, this all part of Prathuma. Then chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Then Puranjana's story comes in, and Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt. Then there's a city described with 9 gates. And Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life, and he talks between Narad and King Prachinabarhi. Then the activities of the Prachetas, and then Narad Muni instructs the Prachetas. So there's a quick kind of overview. So that picture obviously related to King Vena. So I'll go back to that slide. And so what about this one then? This is also like part 4, 4th canto. What would this be relating to? Anybody?
It looks like Narad Muni instructing someone. I'm not sure who.
King Prachinabharishat.
King Prachinabhari. So Narad Muni is instructing him. So obviously that picture was selected, and that's part 4. So that's quite, if you got Srimad Bhagavatam at home and you look at the pictures inside in there and start to think, wow, what part is this relating to? So that's the Narad Muni instructing Prachinabhari. And there's another picture, like I had this black version of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's part 3. So that's before that. So what would that be?
That is when Indra was stealing the sacrificial horse, and then King Prithu, and then he came with Brahma to ask for forgiveness from the king, and the king is forgiving him.
This is Vishnu, isn't it? Coming,
yes, Vishnu
to the sacrificial arena.
Yes, sorry. But
Indra
is on his knees, and
there's obviously the yagya there, sacrifice, sacrificial, his fire and all that, and then Vishnu coming. But what's this on the body of the? Is that relating to some pastime? Or is that? And sometimes I look at it and I get confused a little bit.
That is that is Indra and the king. Indra is asking for forgiveness, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and is it something to do with the eyes on his body, or did he want a million years? I get a little bit confused, so I'll be with you, honest. But there is a pastime that relates to King Indra getting a body with so many eyes, so maybe, but I didn't
No, this is not the one. Not
This
yet.
this is not it.
Not
Though,
yet.
I
Yeah,
knew.
not yet.
No, not yet. No, that comes a bit later on.
Yeah.
Maybe this is to do with the, requesting million ears on the body, so he can hear the pastimes of whether that's related to that. But and it's an interesting one anyway. You can find out more about it. And then there's this one. Obviously, there's Lord Shiva and Parvati, and there's instructions going on where Parvati wanted to go to the yajna of Daksha.
It's
And then,
it's not Parvati, it's Sati, Prabhuji.
Sati, sorry, yes.
Yes.
And yes, she goes to Daksha's yajna. And this one,
She self-immolate herself because Daksha was insulting Lord Shiva, and they were not invited in the yajna. So Sati got very upset and she burnt herself.
yeah, she discarded that body, actually, doesn't she? She gives up that
Yes.
body. And the way she does it, obviously it shocks her sisters and all those that were present.
Anyway.
But what was Daksha's reaction to it? He was quite, very much not attached to, or didn't show any emotional connection with Sati. She felt very much neglected. So that's quite interesting. And this one looks like Dhruva Maharaj is fighting the Yakshas. Would it be true? Did you see these
Not sure.
pictures before
I'm not
Canto?
sure,
Then
Now this is
what do you think it is?
no. This is not connected to fourth canto. This is where Saint personified runs after. This is when he's killed Vratasura, and that's a different canto.
All right, okay.
Sure.
Let's clarify that maybe.
Oh
No,
no. You mean the son of was running after Indra?
no, Dhruv Maharaj's brother who was killed by the Yakshas. That's the Yaksha.
Uttam, and then Dhruv Maharaj is trying to take revenge.
And then Dhruv Maharaj takes revenge after that.
But this is Indra being chased by death personified. It's a different pastime.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a different pastime.
Could be.
Yeah. I think so.
Anyway, interesting when you see pictures and think, well, what does this relate to? You think, what about this one? Maybe a big question mark on this.
Interesting picture. I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah,
This one is easy.
this one is easy. Go on.
This
Daksha
is
being
when
dead.
Lord Shiva sent, he got a hair from his head and threw it, and then this demon come. I forgot his name now. Help me. What is his name?
Oh, the demon's name.
Yeah.
Virabhadra or something like that.
Virabhadra, yes, Virabhadra. Then he went to, that is going to chop Daksha's head off.
Yeah.
That's right. There's interesting though.
Yeah.
And obviously chop that demon, that causes chaos, doesn't he? In the sacrificial arena. And so anyway, we go back to fourth canto and look at some of the instructions. So in the chapter 1, just as Atri inquires about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and stated that you have accepted bodies by the material gunas, we should also have a clear understanding of the constitutional position of these personalities, especially Vishnu's transcendental position. And this is a common misconception in Hinduism. So when we look at this instruction in chapter 1, obviously Atri is inquiring about the position of Brahma. Why is Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva is different? So you have accepted bodies of the material by the material gunas, but I think we understand that Vishnu's position is transcendental, and that misconception within Hinduism, thinking Lord Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they're all part of the universe, material gunas, but they control them, material gunas. So that was first instruction. Chapter 2 then, so we might go back to looking at chapter 1, chapter 2, but by studying the interaction of Daksha and Shiva in the sacrificial arena, we are being instructed on the nature of anger and its effect, which leads to forgetfulness and suffering and cursing and counter cursing. This is the part when, there is Lord Shiva and Daksha, and there's angry, Lord Shiva is angry, and then there's cursing going on, counter cursing, and its effect, which leads to, forgetfulness and suffering and curse. So we should also learn to discriminate and follow proper authority to avoid Bhrigu's curse. Anybody want to expand on that? Did anybody remember what was going on there? Or
So Lord Shiva, he held, not Lord Shiva, Daksha, who is the father-in-law of Lord Shiva. He first he did a yajna where he invited all the great personalities. When he came in the, no, it was an assembly. When he came there, his father Brahma and his son-in-law Lord Shiva did not stand up. So Lord Shiva, Daksha got very angry, and then he started talking badly on Lord Shiva, and then he left the arena. So, and all the Bhrigu Muni and all the sages, some of the sages, they were very happy when they heard Daksha talking badly on Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, he just went. He left and he went. He didn't even say anything to Sati, his wife. And after that, there is a pastime of Lord Ram where he met Lord Ram, and what happened, I told that in Ramayana. Then he went into meditation for 86,000 years. When he came out of his meditation, they saw all the devtas, all the demigods going to yajna to Daksha's place. So Daksha arranged a huge fire sacrifice and intentionally did not invite Lord Shiva. So Sati wanted to go, despite Lord Shiva telling her not to go. She went, and there she was offended by the father, and seeing that nobody cared for her, also that there was no place for Lord Shiva. There was no yajna for Lord Shiva, because as a demigod, he did not want it, but it should be given his share of the yajna, of the ahuti. So then she got very upset, and then she, out of anger, she burned herself. And Lord Shiva, this is what is happening during cursing and counter cursing here. So the first time, Lord Shiva didn't say anything, but Nandi could not tolerate. So Nandi cursed and they counter cursed.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's very good, Mataji. A lot of clarification there as well, and reminding of ourselves, and the instruction here, as well. So that was chapter 2, yeah. Chapter 3 then. When we start to become Krishna conscious by the mercy and blessing of Guru and Gauranga, we should take an elevated position, as Lord Shiva instructed Sati, that my dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives, offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another and offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respect to the super soul who is sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body. So obviously when we are paying respect, and it's to the elevated, the super soul who is sitting within the heart, and not the person who actually is identifying with the body. Lord Shiva is instructing Sati here. So chapter 3, maybe if anybody wants to expand on this, then fair enough. But what we learn from this is, because the instructions being given. So Lord Shiva is instructing Sati. So when you stand up, welcoming one another, offering obeisances. So we should understand when we are paying obeisances, it's just to the super soul within the heart. Also, Srila Prabhupada in one of the purports says that obeisances are offered to a person, not to anything impersonal. So one should not accept the Mayavadi interpretation that Vasudeva is impersonal. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Prapadyate, one surrenders to a personality. So that's one of the etiquettes of, when we say to somebody else, and when we're bowing down, we pay respects, when you say to pray like Vancha Kalpatarubhasya, Kripa Sindhu Bhavaja Patitanam Pavnevya, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama. So when we're paying respects to one another, it is to the super soul within, and respecting the personality, and not just looking at the body. The bodily designations are just can be, like I think we learned in Jad Bharat also, when he's instructing King Rahugana, when King Rahugana said, "Oh, you're very strong, but you seem to be weak," and he was being sarcastic, and he actually said, "It does, the body can be thin, fat, skinny, doesn't matter, but it's nothing to do with the soul and the super soul." So quite important instruction there for us. In this chapter, then chapter 4, Sati condemns her father. Having ignored and insulted Lord Shiva, and from this, we should understand that to find faults and vilify a great personality, what to speak of Lord, Supreme Lord, is to become a lowly person. But like Sati, we should defend the honor of great personalities, even if it means having to kill the offender or give up one's body, which Sati does. So she felt obviously that her husband was, Lord Shiva was being disrespected, to defend the honor of the great personality. So we may come across situations in our life, where sometimes personalities are being dishonored or disrespected, or sometimes even insulted, and especially if it comes to people being offensive to Vaishnavas, and that, then, and also sometimes to the Supreme Lord. Well, that is a tendency in Kali Yuga, to minimize the position of God, and saying there's no God, and they're actually dishonoring and disrespecting and not accepting the fact that, there is a personality. So we should actually stand up for, that is really standing up for a personality, and Sati does that.
And just to add, I think if we can't, for any reason, argue, for whatever reason it may be, then we should not hear such insults to great personalities. So if somebody's being insulted and we can't do anything about it, we just walk out of that place, so that we don't participate in that that insult that's taking place. Otherwise,
Better to walk away.
To participate, yeah.
So rather than, better to walk away than end up having to be escalate the situation, or even become more offensive. More offenses get committed or something. So
it's also for oneself, if we listen, we cannot defend, because it is said two things: either you walk out, or you cut the tongue of the person. We cannot do the second one, but the first one we can do, just to protect ourselves. We just walk away, because even if we are not taking part in that, we are just listening, that also we are committing sin. So we should just walk away from there.
Yeah.
And there's a third, which is you defend, you argue that this is wrong.
Yeah, if you can. If you cannot,
if you can,
you just walk away.
There's three. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Oh,
Yeah, that that is why sometimes we're put into positions or where finding faults and vilifying a great personality. So that's the point, isn't it?
yeah.
To finding faults and vilify a great personality. That means becoming a very lower person. So we should avoid fault finding, and we should respect greater personalities. Yes, there's a lesson to be learned from there. Chapter 5, then, in this chapter we realize that the consequences Daksha faced because of insulting and dishonoring great personality like Lord Shiva and Sati. So obviously Daksha faced the consequences of having dishonored, and that was he was punished quite badly. We should study how Lord Brahma pacifies Lord Shiva on behalf of Daksha and all the participants at the yajna. So obviously, Daksha is being punished. Lord Shiva is sent to that great big demon, and all these other entourage that went and destroyed everything, the yajna and also Daksha. Then Lord Brahma pacifies Lord Shiva on behalf of Daksha. We're being instructed that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are not different in the sense that Lord Shiva is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu and acts on behalf of Vishnu. So there is subtle difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu in the sense that there is, it is incarnation, but just like milk in yogurt and milk in its original form are non-different. So there's a subtle difference between milk and yogurt, but yet they're both milk. So that's the position of Lord Shiva, and sometimes so misunderstood Lord Shiva's position, within all creation and his role. And obviously his role is to look after the people who are in the mode of ignorance, and he's being followed by all the ghostly and all these sort of spirits, and somebody has to take care of that. So there's a subtle difference there. Chapter 6 and 7. As all different personalities offered prayers to Lord Vishnu according to their ability, we should also offer prayers by mercy of Guru. So that in this lesson here, different personalities offered prayers. So we've seen that, when Lord Vishnu has come there, and all these different personalities offering prayers, but according to their ability, they were offering like Gandharvas and demigods and Lord Indra and all that. So according to our ability, we should also learn how to offer prayers. We do it in our own, from the heart, but by mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we come out with the words sometimes, don't we? Sometimes we don't know where to start. So any points on there? Anybody expand?
No, it's good.
No, good. Okay, chapter 8, Suniti's instructions to her son Dhruva. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. There's Suniti. And anybody wants to expand on Suniti, her son Dhruva? Dhruva wanted to sit on the lap of his father, who was the king, but Suniti, and he was not given that chance to sit, but his mother is instructing that, it's you should pray to the Supreme Lord, and one day you'll have a position that would be able to sit on his father's lap. So anybody wants to say anything about it? She was not finding any remedy. She said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffer himself from that pain. My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Narad Muni instructs Dhruv Maharaj. Because after that, Dhruv Maharaj goes off to the forest. He does tapasya. He's only a 5-year-old boy. And then during his tapasya, then Narad Muni finds out that he instructs Dhruva at that point as well. The great sage Narad told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother, Suniti, to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. So that's what Narad Muni is. Following the description, the process of devotional service as described by Narad Muni to the 5-year-old boy is well worth studying and implementing in our life. So that's the descriptions given, the process of devotional service which Narad Muni guides the 5-year-old boy. And that's, we should study that part of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto here. Anybody wants to expand on that bit?
Anybody like maybe Karuna, would you like to say anything? Or Pitambar probably can't. Aruna, Surenda.
I just I'll say that Dhruv Maharaj went to the forest and then he did the tapasya and then he met Lord Narayan appeared. Is that true?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, very important instructions there. That part of the 4th canto, Dhruva Maharaj's pastimes, you can actually, that's why this whole, you can write a book on it. Oh, chapter 8. Okay, chapter 9 then. Srila Prabhupada in the purport to 4.9.35 instructs that Dhruva Maharaj regrets that he wanted material opulence and greater prosperity than that of his great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. His begging from the Lord was like a poor man's asking a great emperor for a few grains of broken rice. The conclusion is that anyone who is engaged in the loving service of the Lord should never ask for material prosperity from the Lord. The awarding of material prosperity simply depends on the stringent rules and regulations of the external energy. Pure devotees ask the Lord only for the privilege of serving him. This is our real independence. If you want anything else, it's a sign of our misfortune. So Dhruva Maharaj is obviously here when he realizes that, here's the Supreme Lord standing in front of me, and I've been asking for something which was okay, to be a ruler greater than his own great-grandfather, because don't forget, Dhruva Maharaj's great-grandfather is Lord Brahma. So he's Lord Brahma's son. And then he wanted the kingdom greater than Lord Brahma's. So, but the real, he realizes his misfortune. He thinks that there's misfortune. I've been asking for like a few grains of rice, broken rice as well. So when we are asking for material things, they're already going to be provided anyway. Lord is providing the ends even, everybody gets, they don't have to go out and work for anything, but everything is provided, So all those things will be provided. We don't have to worry too much about whether we're going to get food or not. But devotees ask for a chance to serve the Supreme Lord in some way. And this is how we learn how to serve the Supreme Lord by serving a pure devotee or a guru. When we are in the serving mood, And Krishna instructs in the Bhagavad Gita as well that, approach a spiritual, self-realized soul. And pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti. Upadekshanti means he'll instruct you accordingly. So we should pariprasnena and then sevaya. So there's the instruction about Gita there as well. We should be careful so what we pray for and desire and how we should execute devotional service. Because whatever it is asked for, you'll be rewarded. Krishna is always kind and he's always going to provide and fulfill our desires. Just got to be a little bit careful. Chapter 10 and 11, Srila Prabhupada gives us the assurance.
One thing was, he said, this was one of the acharyas who said, Dhruv Maharaj, when the Lord appeared before him, he was very regretful that he had been looking for broken pieces of glass, but actually he found diamonds, and that's the Supreme Lord. So your instruction is very good, that when we do bhakti, when we are engaged in prayer to the Supreme Lord, our prayers should not be materially motivated, because that, as you said, will come anyway, according to our karma anyway. But what is impossible to get is loving God, prema bhakti. So that is what we ask from the Lord, and that is very rare to get. So when we have the opportunity to pray to the Lord, we pray, can I please love you? I want to love you. I want to serve you. That's all I want to do. That's really, those prayers are very, very powerful and actually will help us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, so Dhruv Maharaj was given a specific arrow made by Lord Narayan himself, and he now fixed it upon his bow to finish the illusory atmosphere created by the yakshas. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that mam eva ye prapadyante maya netantarantite. So without Narayan, the Supreme Personality of God, no one is able to overcome the action of the illusory energy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also given us a nice weapon for this age, as stated in the Bhagavatam, Shango Pangashtra. In this age, the Narayanastra, so this word here, Astra, Shastra, as they say, Shastra is a weapon, and Sango Pangashtra, Sango means association. And this is the Narayanastra, the weapon to drive away Maya, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in pursuance with the associates of Lord Chaitanya, such as Advaita, Nityananda, Gadadhar, and Srivas. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this weapon, so we don't need, but Dhruv Maharaj was obviously given this specific arrow to fight this illusory atmosphere that was created by the yakshas. And we quite face that similar situation, because in Kali Yuga, everything is so illusory, everything we watch TV, they're all just illusions, not really real images. And if we spend our time focused on all these different things that are going on, we're so much focused and affected by the illusory aspects of, especially in Kali Yuga now. So sometimes we end up, wasting our time sitting around watching programs that are repeated hundreds of times. They're just illusory energies. And then nowadays, as technology improves more and more, then we get into virtual reality, and then you put on this virtual reality kind of picture. That's even more illusory, the illusions within the illusions, and we get trapped by it. And children, they spend time focused on playing games, which are also illusory, and they create these illusory games. So we get trapped in all that. And then we get so absorbed in all that that our whole lifetime goes, and before we know it, we think, wow, where am I heading, So in this present age, that's the kind of illusory energy. Dhruv Maharaj faced a different kind of yakshas, they created that, but he had to fight that with some sort of a weapon. And he was given that Narayan, the specific arrow in that pastime. So we're lucky, we don't have to have some kind of special weapon, but this Hare Krishna mantra is really the weapon for us. Any comments?
Yes, I was just going to say it's nearly 4:30.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask for questions and then
Yeah.
continue tomorrow anyway?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Anybody?
Anything clarify? Anything that needs to be clarified, or anything that you want to share?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhu, Nitai Gaura Haribol. Yes, there is a lot of lessons to be learned from the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that 4 types of people surrender unto the Lord. One is in search of wealth. So Dhruva Maharaj, he represents this example. One in search of wealth, so he surrenders unto Krishna. Another type of person who surrenders to Krishna is those in distress. Example is pastimes of Gajendra. He was in distress and he surrenders unto Lord Krishna and he offers prayers to Lord Krishna. And another example is those inquisitive. So the example is given is a conversation in Naimisharana forest between Sonaka Rishi and Sutta Goswami and so many rishis, question and answers going there. And the 4th type of person who surrenders unto Krishna is those in search of the absolute truth. And the example is given as the 4 Kumaras. So whether one has, in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, whether we have material desires or no material desires, we only should take shelter and surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari. Like that. This is the advice. Whether with material desires or without material desires, we should take shelter of Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari. And then in Dhruva Maharaj pastimes, like there is Suruchi, the stepmother of Dhruva Maharaj. She gave good instruction to Dhruva Maharaj, but in a very harsh way. She said that, my son, you need to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, and then to be born from my womb. Then you sit in the lap of your father. So the instruction that she gives, you should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. That's a good instruction, but she spoke it in a very harsh way. And as a consequence, later on, when Dhruva Maharaj initially was not pure devotee because he had material desire for having kingdom, but later on, by practicing devotional service under the guidance of Narada Muni, he becomes a pure devotee. And as such, as a reaction, because she spoke very harshly to Dhruva Maharaj, she, as Lord Vishnu, Krishna in the form of Lord Vishnu, he explains to Dhruva Maharaj when he appeared in front of him that Suruchi will be devoured in a very harsh forest fire. See, that's what it happens. So the lesson is that even while preaching, like she preached to Dhruva Maharaj in one sense, we have to be careful not to use harsh words.
Good point.
With someone, maybe like a child, we think, oh, he's a child, we just harshly address it. Chant Krishna Japa or chant, do it like that. You understand?
Yeah, good. Nice.
Yeah, we should not address, give, even if there's good instructions about Krishna consciousness, but we should be very sweet and polite and affectionate, just like Suniti. Suniti is very good mother. She very affectionately addresses Dhruva Maharaj, her son, and spoke very affectionately and sweetly, and says, "My son, do not wish, do not ever wish bad for others, for it will come back to you.
Mm.
What goes around comes around." You know?
Mm.
Giving instructions like that. So, like that, while instructing our kids or dealing with anybody, even kids or elderly person, we have to be respectful because Gauranga Mahaprabhu has said, "Trinad api sunichena taror eva taror api sahishnana amanina manadina kirtaniya sadahi." So we should be practicing our Krishna consciousness, bearing in mind that we should be always humble, tolerant, and respectful, and do not expect honor in return. In this mood of Krishna consciousness, then we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as Gauranga Mahaprabhu has said. Nitai Gaura Haribol. Hare.
I think also we have to bear in mind Surichi was very envious as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, when we are out on the streets, you'll find generally preachers will not be envious. You know, they're out to give knowledge.
Yeah.
Sometimes we may come across some, you know, challenging situations with people of other faiths. You know, often they're people who come and challenge you. So, you know, best to avoid such challenges because it's just an absolute waste of time.
Yeah.
So sometimes the Christian or the Muslim, somebody who's a little bit more fanatical than normal would come and approach and, you know, really try to waste your time. And, you know, it's very nice to just say, okay, thank you, that's your view, and that's fine, and just move on.
Yes, yes,
Rather than getting into arguments, and it's just nonsensical in many ways.
yeah, argumentative things will not help, but only grace of Guru and Gauranga, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Dhanavad.
Thank you so much. Anybody else like a question or comment?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
But Suniti, she did not take anything at heart. She even sent Dhruva. He said, go and bow down to your mother, pay your obeisances. When Dhruva said, no, she hurt me, she offended me. But Suniti said, no, she is your mother, you go. Because Suniti could see behind that harsh word what is hidden. So she knew that the son will not go, but she forced her son to go. And that is a lesson I think mothers should take. Like, we are not saying like if somebody is hitting our child, we let them do that, but we should instruct our children not to be offender to our elders.
Very good point, actually. Yeah, very good point. Okay, thank you.
So thank you. Yeah, so that, thank you for giving me the opportunity to go
No,
through.
it's good. We'll look forward to more tomorrow.
And if there's anything else anybody wants to clarifications on and how these instructions help, and obviously there are also lessons to be learned as well, which we go through sometimes, and it's important that we try and remain in the association, and at the same time keep studying the scriptures and stay focused. It's difficult times at the moment, with all these lockdowns and coronavirus, this, that. But if we focus too much on it, then we'll be affected by it, mentally. And again, one of those illusory energies, and I hope it is illusory energy. So, we can combat that, but just keep chanting and then stay surrendered to the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. And, hopefully we'll remain safe. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for this kind of review, because we have forgotten most of it. So thank you very much. And also, don't think that this lockdown is putting us into distress. I think lockdown is good for us, because I would never know you. I would never see so many people and so many nice lessons, right? Thank you so much. Much appreciated, Prabhuji.
That's because you're taking a negative and you're turning it into a positive, Mataji. Well done.
That's what you do. I learned from you. Thank you.
Well done.
That's what Dhruv Maharaj did as well. So
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
right. That's right.